Hey yo, what's up guys? It's your boy Anti-Aliasing1, and today I got a tutorial for you guys, short tutorial on how we can set up, some sort of a area or something, graphical representation, a map, a small map with by combining different sorts of image effects, trees, all free, all built in, pretty much built in. Some are, some are not. So, anyways, let's get right on and do it. So, I'm gonna start off with a new project and just gonna call it whatever you can call it, tutorial. And we're gonna start off by importing some assets and all. So I need characters and classic Skybox. I'll throw a link in the description. You can find it on the asset store. It's really good, Skyboxes and all. And we need some environmental assets, and let's see, ground texture pack, free guns, melee weapon trial, network lobby, PBS rarity pack. This is the one which I used back before. I think I'm gonna drop that in as well. I know I'm just dropping everything in. Yeah, prototyping is more important because prototyping, they just import all sorts. They got all sorts of different objects, pretty much used for prototyping again, as the name suggests. So I think that is it. Yeah, I think that's it. So I'm just gonna import that, and it will take some time, and I guess I will be back after it's done importing. Alright, so I'm back, and I'm sorry that took considerably longer than I thought. So anyways, now we have all our assets in place, and I also dropped down a couple more assets like the effects. These are the cinematic effects, but they're not from the asset store, they're actually from Bitbucket, I think. Yeah, and they're like the latest ones, as far as I'm aware of. But yeah, and I dropped down the tone mapping effect from the Blacksmith demo as well. Here it is, the Tonemapping log. And also I have a couple, I also dropped down the Viking Village effect, sorry, Viking Village textures, the mud texture and all, which I believe lots of people requested. And I'll drop down a link to that in the description as well. So, no, this is not the one. And it's this one actually, this one with this no, sorry, I think it's this one with this whole map. Anyways, I'm sorry, I'm horribly explaining things, I think. But anyways, let's move on. so now we have a pretty much empty scene, and let's get started with it. So first I'd like to add a terrain collider, sorry, a terrain, by going to create 3D object and terrain. That adds a quite amazing terrain for us by default, and I hope that doesn't use much of my CPU performance, because for some reason, I'm using OBS and it doesn't like some application uses lots of CPU performance. It just messes it all up. But anyways, so we have our terrain. I'm just gonna keep it at the same size and all, but I'm gonna move it to minus 250. Just a part of my preference. You don't have to do this, but yeah, just so it's in the middle. And okay, so now that we have our terrain, we imported the character controllers. So we're gonna go to standard assets, characters, first person, prefabs, and from there we're gonna just import the FPS controller. Okay, so press F to focus on it. Okay, so we have our really nice simple FPS controller here. I'm just gonna move it above a bit higher so it doesn't fall to the floor, and just gonna disable the main camera. Okay, so if we go to the game tab now, okay, give me a second. If you go to the game tab now, you can just see we have a character controller with literally nothing, and yeah, we could just kind of move around. You can hear the footsteps, I think. Well, yeah, okay, we can delete the main camera there. So I'm gonna save the scene. You can do the same if you want to. So create a new folder, scenes, and just save it as anything you like. I'm gonna save it as tutorial 01. Okay, cool. So, oh, and by the way, I'm using Unity 5.4.1. You can pretty much see there 5.4.1. And for some reason it's saying that something's using my CPU. Oh, never mind. Yeah, okay, so something was using, okay, I'm sorry I had to let it calculate or anything, but anyway, so now we have this simple movement and everything. Let's start off with the skybox. So this skybox, basically, you know, the default skybox, yeah, it's pretty decent. It's really good compared to the Unity 4 skybox, but to change our skybox, we need to go to the lighting tab. If you don't have this, sorry, lighting tab. If you don't have this, you can just go to window, just find lighting there, and there we have it. Okay, so what we can do is we can click on skybox, and the gear, not exactly the gear, the point after this, basically we can choose, we can select the skybox, so just click on that, and now it opens up a browser window for us. We can browse through all the materials we have in the scene. We need to browse for sky, so sky 1, 01, 02, 03. So you can choose any one of these, but I think I'm gonna go with a low light skybox. So okay, you can actually start seeing the reflection there. But yeah, so I'm gonna pretty much choose this one, or actually we can choose a bit higher where we can see the sun clearly. There we go, that's better. Okay, so now we have the skybox, and we'll see it kind of changes the entire look of the game, okay, compared to how it was before. So moving on, we are gonna actually change. I'm gonna go to the project settings, player. Okay, so edit, project settings, and player. So we're gonna change the rendering path and the color space. So if you don't have this, you'll probably have it. You probably have it looking like this. So you need to go to the other settings, and then you can change your rendering paths and color space. So I'm gonna change my rendering path from forward to deferred rendering, and I'm gonna change the color space from gamma to linear. And you'll see that all the areas which were lit, like, you know, extremely brightly, they are pretty much neutralized now. And I kind of like this effect because in cases where you have bright lights, it doesn't ends up making them look too bright, which would be pretty much of a, I don't know, a problem, I guess. But anyways, now that we have that, let's try playing and see what happens. So yeah, skybox, and can move around pretty much. Okay, so I'm gonna save the scene again. I'm just kind of used to saving it, and I'm gonna actually pretty much turn this off so that it does that, you know, automatically calculates it again and again. But anyways, what I'm gonna do now, or what we need to do now, is add some textures to the ground itself. So for that, you can either select the terrain from the scene or from the hierarchy. And if you look in the inspector window, you have all the properties of the terrain. Now this isn't exactly a beginner's tutorial, but I'd like mostly, you know, all the people who are watching this to be able to follow it. So just gonna explain on the go. Anyways, so to change the texture, we need to click on this brush icon, if you can see that correctly. Okay, so and then we are promoted with certain brushes, and we can just kind of move around with the brush and everything. You can switch between brushes, no need for that anyways. But so we need to add a base texture which will cover the entire terrain for us. For that, we can go to edit, add texture, and from here we're gonna find the textures which we need to add. So the texture you'll probably find will be under, it will be somewhere, well, where I have it, it's in standard assets, environment, terrain assets, and Viking. And inside of it you have the textures which I used for my previous games, you know. So these are from the Viking Village demo. So I'm gonna go ahead and select this texture and put it there in the place of albedo smoothness. Okay, and I'm gonna select the normal map, which is terrain wet map, and I'm gonna just drag and drop it on the normal map, and then I'm gonna just hit add, and there we have it. So I'm gonna press W to pretty much move out of the painting mod to the actual moving, you could say, handlers and all, moving positioning mode, I guess. And there we have it. It looks pretty damn good, as you can just see. It just instantly adds this really nice feel to it. But the moment I try playing it, however, all the reflection and everything is gone. I think I know why. So I just need to go to Lighten and click on Build. Give me a second, and there we go. Okay, so now if I try playing it, we'll have the nice reflection in nice skybox reflection in the water. Here we have the puddles. So yeah, that looks pretty good. I think it looks pretty nice. Okay, so now we have the base scene. Pretty simple, pretty nice. If you're able to find good textures or anything, if you're able to use third-party assets like relief terrain, then you can really add that PBR feel to the terrain itself. Trust me, it looks amazing. So relief terrain, you can find that off the asset store for about $60 or so, I think. But it's definitely worth every penny. And I'm not using that, by the way. I haven't bought it, but I've tried it out before. But yeah. So anyways, so now let's kind of move on to some landscape areas, like maybe adding some trees and some basic grass, base grass or anything. So for that, I'm just going to select the terrain again and go to this this icon on the right hand side of the brush, which is sort of represents two trees, I guess. And you can click on that, and you can click edit trees and add tree to add certain trees. You'll be promoted with the brush, just like that. So add tree, and we're going to change the tree prefab by clicking on this circular icon right here, I guess. And once you click there, you'll be promoted with certain 3D models. I'm going to use the conifer desktop tree, and then I'm going to say add. And I just add a tree here. It doesn't really add it in the scene itself. And before I actually add it, I'm gonna play around with the settings a little bit, turn down the brush size, the tree density, and the tree height to almost there. Okay, so I'm sorry, I don't know what's happening. Okay, I think I was loading it or something, so I guess I could just go a bit crazy with it. So just click on everywhere pretty much, and you can just randomly place trees in a specified volume or the brush. So so there, now we have our trees. Looks pretty good, as you can just see. And to just bake them, you can just click on build again and wait for it. There we go. Okay, there we go. So now we can try playing, and we have our trees, and I think they look pretty good. Yeah, so we're starting to get there. Okay, so with that all done, we have pretty much almost everything. We can throw in some grass there. So for that, you can just repeat the same step, click the terrain, and on the right hand side of the trees icon, we have sort of a flowers icon or something. And do the same thing, edit details, add grass texture, not the detail mesh. And then we can say we have the detail texture. We can select the texture, and I'm going to just select the base texture, which I think is this one, the grass frond 01 albedo alpha. And I'm going to change the min width to 0.5, max width to 1, min height to 0.5, max height. And I'm going to go ahead with the colors and just, you know, make them white and turn on the billboard settings, add. And then we can just kind of start painting some grass. I'm going to actually turn up the opacity and target strength to just kind of build it up. And now I know this looks horrible, but like, wait for it, just wait for it, okay? So yeah, so the grass looks really stretched, as if someone's like literally trying to pull it, and it's like, nope, I'm not letting go of my friendly terrain or something. But to fix this, we can just go to the gear icon here again on the right hand side of that previous icon, and we can go to we can scroll down until we reach the wind settings for grass, and we can reduce the bending. So don't turn it to like 0, turn it to something maybe 0.2. And I also like to we can say reduce the size, something like almost there, I guess. And you can change the grass tint if you don't like it. Personally, I think it is pretty good. but you can change it if you don't like it. This one looks pretty good as well, but yeah, I think it looks a bit too bright. Okay, I'm sorry, what? Okay, never mind. So yeah, let me just kind of go ahead. Okay, save it, and let's try around. So we have some nice grass, everything. But then again, you might be questioning, where is the awesomeness? You know, where is the feel I had in my videos? Where's that? I mean, I'm not trying to brag about them, but yeah. So now for that part, okay, before we move on, I'm gonna edit the directional light to sort of match the kind of, you know, where the sun is. So pretty much rotate it about fine, I guess. All right, and before moving on, we have certain other colors as well. So we need to change the intensity and the bounds. So for the light intensity, I'm gonna go with 1.5. Looks pretty intense, right? And for the light balance, I'm gonna go with 2. Okay, so for the color, okay, let's select the color. And I have some colors saved down here, and I usually use this one. It looks pretty good. And we're gonna use the same exact color, so we can just kind of go move down to like this red orange-ish tint and kind of move in there. Kind of add that sunlight, you know, that color which you have when the sun is low, I guess, near the horizon. So I'm gonna just kind of lower that up, not too much, however, because the sun is not about to set. Okay, there we go. I guess it's just there is still some time before it sets. Okay, and just gonna bake it or build it, just so it updates the changes. Cool. And let's see. Yeah, looking good. Might feel a bit too bright, but we can fix that. So then finally we're moving on to the image effects. Now I think it's the tutorial is dragging a bit longer, but I think I'm gonna just do it. I don't want people to be waiting on me and just say, come on man, release the tutorial already. No, doesn't sound cool. Okay, because I know the feel of waiting. So let's start off with I don't know, ambient occlusion, I guess. So we can just go to standard assets, effects, and ambient occlusion, and you can just see the ambient occlusion script right there. You can just drag and drop it there, or you can go to add component, and you can go to effects, and actually no, I think image effects, yeah, cinematic and ambient occlusion. And there we have it, some nice ambient occlusion. You can play around with the settings, but I think it's pretty good all itself. Okay, and without it and with it, kind of adds a huge change, and kind of adds the sort of shadow for the grass as well. And I could say, you know, the highlight you see, because not in every case like you get shadows, you get visible sharp shadows, no. So you could just play around with it again, but I'm just gonna keep it like this. Honestly, I have it like the same way. I was too lazy to play around with it. But and then we can also take the HDR on the camera component, which, okay, there we go. Remember, we're talking about FPS controller, FPS first person character, okay? So we have the script attached to there. Then moving on, we can add the next script, which is anti-aliasing, and you might not see a huge effect right now, but if I kind of go to like full screen, then you'll see that it is amazing. It's just awesome. It is still in beta, however, so yeah. But even though it is in beta, it is amazing. Okay, so we're just gonna keep it the way it is. You can play around with the settings such as temporal experimental. It is like kind of adds some excessive fuzz on the edges, or the feather effect, as you might have heard of it, so that they seem even more smoother. But it doesn't work in every case. It might actually mess up some things. Also remember, there's a kind of some image effects which actually require positioning or order. So on the camera, when you add certain image effects, they require a certain order in order to work properly. So where the image effect, which image effect comes first, second, third, based on that it's rendered. So honestly, I'm not sure about how all the image effects are rendered, but that's one way working with it. So now we can move on to the bloom effect, and there's nothing much when you add it by default, but yeah. But I'm gonna go ahead with the dirt texture. I'm gonna add a nice little dirt texture, which will be this one, I think. I have a different dirt texture, I think, added in my previous video, but yeah, I'm gonna turn it up to 5 because why not? Just go crazy with it. And make sure you turn on anti-flicker because it kind of adds that excessive feel to it, you know, and everything. And I'm gonna just go and crazy with the radius as well. Maybe not 5, that's maybe a bit too much. Maybe 3.5 or something. Okay, so let's before moving on, let's try playing in and let's try editing the values in real time. So nothing much, right? Not much change, right? So we could just go ahead and we can just see with or without the bloom. Okay, ambient occlusion, anti-aliasing. But you do get this really amazing effect with the bloom. You might notice on can say this part, I guess we can go crazy with this again. We can turn down the intensity a little bit maybe. But yeah, just your own preferences. Yes, I did went a bit too crazy with it. I'm guessing I should turn down this, but I should turn this up. Yeah, you can turn down the threshold and just be all, you know, add that dreamy feel to your game, which I don't like, honestly. Okay, so we're trying to get see the dirt effect on the screen, but I do believe we have the you know, image effect and all turned up a bit too high. We could turn it up higher, but let's not. Okay, still a lot, I think, but I guess that's okay. Okay, let's just copy the component and paste component values. All right, so now moving on to the next bloom effect. Okay, sorry, not the next image effect, my bad. I'm not gonna go with the lens aberrations, whatever that is. I know what that is, but like motion blur, a must-use effect. Just gonna add that, and you'll just see instantly that the game will feel a lot better. And when you move your camera, okay, it will feel amazing. Let me just kind of go full screen with this. I don't know if you can just see this, but amazing. Just looks amazing, the motion blur. The best motion blur I've seen in Unity is this beta one. But it's not perfect, but yes, it is amazing. Also, if you think that the game looks a bit laggy, then it's probably due to the fact that the character controller moves. I don't know, it kind of moves, it doesn't move right. I mean, I did changed it in my, I did altered it in the FPS game and all, but yeah, it feels a lot more smoother there instead of here. And wow, I like how the shadows and the water, they kind of blend together. That's nice. But anyways, one more step before, you know, which will pretty much change everything, and that is, you know, one of the image effects which I just love, and that is called the screen space reflections. There we have it. Okay, so what does it do? Okay, it maybe looks better this way, right? You might think, but no, here's where you're wrong. It looks better this way, in my opinion. But you can just see for yourself. So I'll try moving in the you could say, you know, if I try moving, you might notice that it has real reflections in the water now. You can see the tree reflections there. I don't know if you can see that really clearly or something, but it has some real reflections. And okay, actually my game is lagging somewhat. What's happening? Do I have something running in the background, or is it my recording software? Okay, come on, don't fail my recording software. It doesn't lag at all. Okay, so yeah, some real, some amazing reflections in the water. You could just start to see that, and this is what I just really love. Okay, it just makes everything look so amazing. All right, so yeah, that's about it. Okay, so the final image effect, one, you know, my most favorite, which I literally use in every game, and that is, and I don't think so you can find it there. Yeah, you can find it there. Where was it? Actually, I think you can just find it from here. Effects, tone mapping, and it's called tone mapping log. Let me see. Yeah, tone mapping log. Just gonna drag it and drop it on my first person character. There we have it. Now it won't be. It says that it's missing a shader or anything, but let me just do that. So it's gonna go to shader. Type in log. We have tone mapper log. Then for the LUT texture, don't worry, it comes with that as well. Actually, I think I did not import. No, I did import it. Okay, never mind. So we have the LUT texture in tone mapping textures, LUT and whatever that's called. And then we can just enable adaptive and turn on the image effect. Voila, looks amazing, right? But yeah, it's really exaggerated here, but it looks amazing. So this is one of my, loveliest image effects. Okay, so I have some settings saved, and I'm just gonna want to go ahead and copy those. So these settings are directly from the Blacksmith demo, by the way. So let's go with the middle. Start with the middle gray. It's supposed to be 0.09. The adaptation speed is 10. Adaptation min is 1. Max is 2. And log mid is 0.35. Linear mid is 0.14. And dynamic range is 14. And that's about it. Okay. But yeah, it looks amazing. Compare it with the original effect. Like just look at that. Come on, man. So yeah, it just makes everything look so amazing that I literally can't imagine anything looking like this without it. Okay, so yeah, we get this really amazing effect, and everything's starting to look amazing. And this is what I pretty much did in my FPS game demo. So yeah, we're still going with it. So